I start my trainees out at that level, and I say to them, I want you to learn the business, and I want you to learn start from finish, and I want you to start giving back immediately.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Getting a new trainee is not for everyone. You may not be in the situation right now currently with your business that a trainee is the right way to go. But this episode is for those who feel they want a trainee, feel they need a trainee, but avoid getting a trainee because they just don't want to wait 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, a year, 2 years before they start getting a return on their investment. Speaking of great returns on your investment, A La Mode will give you that. A La Mode, of course, is the company that I've been using for over 20 years. Almost 25 years I've been using A La Mode to help me to do more and to help get a great return on my investment. Check them out. Go to alamode.com. It's ALAMODE or 800 A La Mode. Datamaster saving me about 40 to 45 minutes on every appraisal report that I do, which is a lot, by the way. We do a high volume here at Appraisal Precision. Grateful for Datamaster and for their help on that. Datamasterusa.com, Datamasterusa.com. Finally, we're sponsored by OREP Insurance. OREP has got my back, folks. OREP is awesome. OREP is the company that allows me to be able to sleep well at night. It's orep.org, OREP.org. Well, folks, as you know, I coach a lot of people. And I would say that often appraisers jump to the conclusion that they need a trainee long before they actually do. One of the mistakes that I think we make as appraisers is we get in the box thinking, and the box thinking says, I need help, therefore help equals trainee. Well, most appraisers are not ready for a trainee until they have covered the other bases. And you've heard me talk here before about my Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4 levels in an appraisal office. If you have not heard that, I highly recommend you go back and just search the word tier in the podcast and come up with a couple of different podcasts that I've on those levels. But most appraisers are not ready for a trainee until they've covered those lower bases. Those lower bases meaning Tier 1 would be basic answering phones, data entry, very, very basic research. Tier 2, kind of the next level, more market research, more understanding of the appraisal process. I put, by the way, sketching and inspecting observations, if you will, in that Tier 2 category because it's simply data gathering. And then there's the Tier 3 level. The Tier 3 level, what separates Tier 3 from Tier 1 and Tier 2, of course, is the word analysis or analyzing things. Once you start to analyze the market, once you start to analyze the comparables, once you start to analyze even the subject property, at that point you are now into the professional level. You're into the doctor in the doctor's office analogy. You're the professional. You're the one, the appraiser, if you will, who needs to be the valuation professional. Now, if you are looking to replace yourself, if you are looking to fill a hole with regard to Tier 3, well, maybe trainee is the right place for you to go. Unfortunately, what I see often is appraisers jump to that very prematurely. But if you are covered on Tier 1, Tier 2, and you have that gaping hole where you need to, again, replace yourself, or you're looking for a long-term solution to a problem, trainee might be the way to go. If you are one that has looked at this as a business person should and step back and say, is this going to be efficient for me? Is this going to be something that's going to be profitable? Is this going to make me more successful? And if you have concluded that taking on a trainee, whether it be your own experience as a trainee, or whether you've seen other people go through the trainee process, or maybe you've tried it yourself. Maybe you've gone through the process and you got halfway through and that individual ended up quitting on you. Or you got all the way through and you just felt like, man, the amount of effort that I put in for what I got back out was just, it just wasn't worth it. Or possibly you went through the process and that individual became licensed and then, heaven forbid, they went out on their own and became your quote unquote competition. That can be discouraging. That can cause you to possibly dam your progress. And by dam, I mean stop the flow of your progress with your appraisal business because you're keeping yourself from the growth that you need to make. You know that there is a process that you need to go through, and you know that that process includes hiring a trainee, yet you've stopped yourself from that process. Why? Well, because you are concerned about the ROI, the return on investment. Folks, I want to share with you a couple of things that you can do today. And these are principles that I have employed myself. These are principles that I have encouraged and coached others through, and they will work. And I'm telling you, folks, if Trainee is the right move for you, and you've got to make that determination first, please don't jump prematurely. You jump prematurely, you're going to end up hurt. But if you truly do find yourself in a place with your business that it's time for you to bring on somebody like a trainee to help you out with the tier 3 level work, I want to share with you some things that you can do to help speed that process. Now, I can tell you that this particular episode stemmed from the catalyst, if you will, was my All-Star team this morning. And a great member of my All-Star team, Jason, posted a poll. Now, on the All-Star team, there's many, many benefits to the All-Star team, but one of the few benefits, and one of the great benefits, is being a part of a closed Facebook group. No, you will not find it online. Go ahead and try to search for it. You won't find it. You have to be invited specifically to belong to this group. Now, yeah, it's like any other Facebook group out there, except it is exclusive. It is only for All-Star team members. And it's very active. We ask questions. We bounce things off of one another, both in the business and on appraisal side. And Jason posted a great poll this morning. And basically, the poll was, how long do you feel it will take before you start receiving a return on your investment when it comes to a trainee? And there were different options there. You know, one of them might be 1 to 30 days. One might be 30 to 120 days. One might be, 3 to 6 months, 9 months, 10 months, 12 months. I don't remember all of the options there, but there were many. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of individuals chose the latter answers, meaning it's going to take at least a year or more before I really start to receive a return on my investment. The time that it takes to find, vet, train, manage, train, hold their hand. Did I mention train? I mean, that's the quintessential namesake of a trainee. They are there to be trained. And it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of energy. And by the way, I enjoy it. I have a trainee currently, and I enjoy going out with him. I enjoy teaching him things. Yes, sometimes I get flustered. Sorry, Tyler. Sometimes I'm like, holy cow, is it really? Okay, this is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. But I got to remember, every one of us were in that situation, and I got to back up and say, you know what, Dustin, you were there, and it took you just as long. And you just have to remember that there is a process to go through. But how long does it take to get a return on your investment when it comes to a trainee? Well, I want to pause here and remind you that your return on your investment when it comes to a la mode happens immediately. Now, folks, yes, there will be a transition period, okay? There's going to be a period of time that you need to step back and say, okay, I've been using XYZ software for years and years and years. I've finally made the leap to a la mode, the best software out there, and now I need to train myself or retrain myself on how to utilize this software. That's going to take a process. That's going to take some time, okay? That being said, the time is worth it. The investment's worth it. Within a very short period of time, you're going to see all kinds of return on your investment, folks. A la mode is all about investment. It's all about success. It's all about utilizing the one stool leg that I've talked about. I've talked about the 3-leg stool to success in your business. And one of the major levels or legs of that stool is technology. And a la mode helps you to do that. You can find out more by picking up the phone and calling them at 800 a la mode. That's 1-800 a la mode. Data Master, of course, also giving you a great return on your investment. Why, folks? Because the amount of money that you put in each month for an unlimited subscription to Data Master is a drop literally in the bucket. It is so minuscule, I don't even count it. It's so minuscule that I get back that time within about 2 reports, and we do many, 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 many more reports in our office every single month. Data Master saves you time, about 30 to 60 minutes. Now, they give you that range because that is a true range. They have tested it over and over and over. The amount of time it takes you to type that data into the report versus hitting the button and allowing Data Master to do it for you is anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. By the way, I've timed mine as well, and it's usually between 40 and 45 minutes each and every time. That's a huge return on your investment. Check them out. Go to datamasterusa.com. That's datamasterusa.com. Finally, we're sponsored today by OREP Insurance. OREP is the insurance that I've chosen. By the way, I got a newsletter today. And at the end of the newsletter, it had listed all of the E&O companies that this individual that wrote the newsletter could think of. And I was shocked. There's a lot of them out there. Why is OREP different? OREP is a broker, folks. Now, you know what a broker is when it comes to real estate, right? A broker when it comes to insurance is simply somebody who will take your case, who will synthesize the information, and then shop each and every company out there that might be under their wings. That means you're not going to get just any old company. You're going to get the best company with the best price and the best coverage for you. You need a broker when it comes to E&O. Check them out. Go to orep.org. That's orep.org. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. Today we're talking about trainees, and specifically, I guess we're talking about mentors, you, appraisers. If you are looking for a trainee and you are hesitant or completely refuse to move down that road because, and by the way, I understand this concern because you're concerned about the ROI, the return on investment, the amount of time, money, energy, blood, sweat, and tears, if you will, that needs to be put into a new individual in order for them to start to become profitable for you is daunting. I want to share with you a couple of things that you can do today to help speed the process. Number one, don't look at a trainee as an appraiser until they have proven themselves. Now, let me explain this principle. A lot of times when we get into this mode of trainee, it's because we're trying to fill a problem or fill a hole. We've got a problem, we've got a hole to fill, and we reach out to a trainee to fill that hole. And then we become inevitably disappointed because that hole does not get filled quickly enough. Imagine that you actually have a hole in your lawn and you hire a 6-year-old, and I stay with me here, I'm not comparing trainees to 6-year-olds, but you hire a 6-year-old to fill that hole. Now that 6-year-old, you can give them a shovel and you can even give them a little instruction, but it's going to take them a long time to fill that hole. Now, again, I'm not comparing a trainee to a 6-year-old, trust me, okay? But the analogy and the principle is still the same. If you hand somebody a laser, you hand somebody a mobile phone or a smartphone and ask them to go do an inspection, without a lot of education, they're going to be slow. It's going to take them longer. And it's even multiplied when you get to the point of hiring them for probably what you hired them to do in the first place. And that, of course, is to help you with appraisals, the analysis side, the tier 3 side. If you simply plug them into that hole immediately, you're probably going to be disappointed. It's going to take much longer. They're going to make mistakes. You're going to spend more time trying to fix their problems than they will ever give you back, at least for a very, very long time. So my solution to that is don't start them there. Start them at a tier 1 level. And by the way, I pay them at a tier 1 level. Tier 1 people in my appraisal office make anywhere from about $10 to $12 per hour, give or take. Now, these are very basic things. Now, and by the way, I live in Idaho, so take that into account. When those of you are freaking out, okay, those of you who live in states that the minimum wage is much higher than that, trust me, it's different in Idaho. $10 to $12 an hour for very basic secretarial work is very, very common. It's actually a pretty good wage. It's more than most offices pay, and I do that on purpose. I don't want my employees constantly looking over their shoulder for the next great big thing. But I start my trainees out at that level, and I say to them, I want you to learn the business, and I want you to learn start from finish, and I want you to start giving back immediately. So I'm going to teach you some things that will take just a couple of hours, not days, not weeks, not months, but a couple of hours, and you can already start to give back in the ROI or the return on investment. How to answer the phones. No, you're not going to know how to answer questions, but you can say, I'm his assistant. How may I help you? And when they ask a question you don't know, that is a great question, and I can't wait to answer that for you. Can I get your name and number? And I will check with the appraiser, and I promise to get back to you by the end of the day. I can train anyone to do that job very quickly. Basic data entry. Here's the spreadsheet on this monitor on the left. Here's the form on this monitor on the right. I need you to take these numbers and I need you to plug them into this field. That is something that can be taught very quickly, and all of a sudden I'm saving time because that's stuff now that I don't have to do, that I'm teaching the trainee. And then we move them up through the ranks, if you will. And within a couple of months, I move them to the tier 2 level. Okay, tier 2 again is a little bit more complicated. You really do need to be around an appraisal office or around an appraiser for a long enough time that you know the language. That when I say, hey, put that on a 1004, you know what a 1004 is. That's tier 2 level work. And I'm going to move them up in pay. Okay, my tier 2 level people make anywhere from, $14 to $16 per hour, depending on where they're at in their experience. And I'm going to move my trainee through that process. In this way, I don't treat them like a trainee to begin with. I treat them like a data entry clerk and a tier 2 level individual for quite a long time. But here's the thing. I am doing two things at once. Number one, I'm teaching them the business. Now, for those of you who are freaked out about that, oh my gosh, Dustin, don't teach them the business because then they can just go out on their own and do it themselves. Yeah, maybe. But I believe in the golden handcuffs rule. I believe in making their jobs so good that they don't need to go out and compete against me. But I digress. So number one, I'm getting ROI, or I'm teaching them immediately what the business is all about. And I want them to know that side. I want them to know that when they're a tier 3 level, an appraiser, and they ask somebody to do data entry, that they know what they're asking that person to do. Because they've been there, done that. They've been in those shoes, and they know exactly what it is that they are asking. So tier 1, tier 2, and then tier 3. By the way, the second thing that I'm doing simultaneously is I'm almost immediately, within a couple of days, I'm already getting a return on my investment. First of all, I'm not paying them like an appraiser. So I'm not worried about them doing tier 1, tier 2 level work at a pay that an appraiser would make. They need to work up to that. But number 2, I'm getting a return on my investment absolutely and almost immediately. Number 2, you'd heard me say earlier that inspections are tier 2 level things. Now, I take my trainees almost in the beginning and start to take them out on inspections, if for nothing else but to observe. They need to observe not just how to measure, not just how to fill out the form, but how to act, how to take off your shoes at the door, how to greet someone, what to say when someone has questions. I want that person to shadow me almost immediately. Now, you're saying, well, Dustin, that doesn't give you a return on investment. No, not immediately. But again, they're doing tier 1, tier 2 level stuff back at the office. But when I'm out doing inspections, when it's convenient, right, and I'm not completely taking them out of the office every day, all day long, but when it's convenient, hey, come with me on this inspection. Hey, let's go do a couple of inspections. And show them immediately what they are in for so that down the road, a few months down the road, they can start doing more and more inspections, yes, with me in tow. And eventually, when I feel that they're ready, that they are gathering, and delivering, reporting credible data, then eventually, if my clients allow, I will allow them to do that on their own. So that's number 2, train them to do inspections. It's much easier and faster to get an ROI on inspections than it ever is on pulling comps, making adjustments, and other things that appraisers do. And then, of course, number 3 is to start doing tier 3 stuff before they learn tier 3. Now, what does that mean? Dustin, there are many, many parts of the tier 3 or the appraisal process. I like to start my trainees out, not in the very beginning. Again, we start out with tier 1, tier 2 level stuff. We start out with inspections, but eventually, very soon, I would say within a month and a half, 2 months down the road, I'm going to start having them do parts, and I'm going to emphasize that word, parts of the tier 3 level work. Now remember, tier 3 is analysis, okay? So what parts would you give, Dustin, to your trainee in a fairly rapid pace? I would say, for example, choosing MC comps. Now, what does that mean? I'm referring, of course, to the MC addendum that we put, even though they don't require it anymore, that we still put in a lot of our reports, right? The MC comps. Now, we were doing MC addendums. I'm using air quotes. You can't see me, but I'm using them. We were doing MC addendums before they were cool, okay? Meaning we were putting data in our reports long before the MC was required that showed what the market trends were. And even if you don't do an MC addendum, at least, the very least, you should have something in your work file that supports what the market's doing. Well, folks, with that comes what I call the MC comps. The MC comps are basically the 20 to 30 to 40 comparables, if you will, and I'm going to use that term lightly, but the sales and pendings and actives that you pull based on your broad criteria. In other words, this is the broad criteria. These at least fit into the ballpark of potential comparables. I'm not going to put all of these in the grid, okay, though I could with DataMaster, by the way, very quickly. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to now narrow the field. So I in a very rapid sense, allow my trainees to pull the MC comps, the 30 or 40 sales that are at least in the neighborhood, that are somewhat in the ballpark. And then I, as the appraiser, can come down and narrow that down. Now, I don't allow them to do that day one, and I certainly don't allow them to do that alone without some sort of supervision, at least long enough that I feel comfortable that the 30 or 40 that they're pulling are the same 30 and 40 that I would pull as well. Another thing that I will have them do is what we call prelim adjustments. And basically what this looks like is taking the grid after I've chosen the comps and the grid is filled out, then they start to go through and say, okay, Dustin, typically for this neighborhood and this style of home and this quality condition might adjust at $40 to $50 a square foot for GLA. I'm going to start with 45 across the board and put that in. Okay, what are we going to do for quality? What are we going to do for condition? Those are things that can be taught very quickly, but again, these are not the adjustments that I'm going to end up with. These are the adjustments that I'm going to start with so that when I come back, and again, this is of course after much training and much supervision and much oversight. Okay, let's get that in there. Okay, don't jump on the comment section, Bill. I know where you're going with this. But we do a lot of oversight, a lot of training. But once they are able to get to that point, prelim adjustments allow me to come in and then start to use the sensitivity analysis and some of the other tools that I might use to finesse those adjustments to where they are more accurate for the market. Okay. And the other thing that I'll have them do is some market research. Is the market going, and this is different, by the way, than the MC sheet. Is the market going up? Is the market going down? Is it stable? What have we seen for trends? I'd like to stay on top of what the markets, and I work in a variety of different markets, stay on top of what the markets are doing. And that's something that I can utilize my trainee for in a very, very timely manner, meaning I can start getting that return on investment. So, folks, if you are worried, if you are concerned, but you have a hole to fill, you don't want to fill that hole because you, number one, don't want to train your competition. Number two, you don't think you're going to get the return on investment that you need quickly enough. Folks, I would ask you not to hesitate. There's a lot of individuals out there that want to become appraisers, and a lot of individuals out there that cannot seem to find mentors. And I would say that there is a different way than what you may have experienced in the past to go about hiring a trainee. and more importantly, being able to be successful by getting a return on your investment very, very quickly. Folks, I want to tell you about a new product out there. Speaking of trainees, I recorded recently during the pandemic. I took some time to build my portfolio, if you will, and we have been asked and called on for a very long time for a new workshop. And the new workshop that's been requested time and time again is how to become a real estate appraiser. It's for those of you who are either trainees or want to be trainees. If you want to be a real estate appraiser in any aspect, this workshop is for you. It's called How to Become a Real Estate Appraiser. You can find it on my website, theappraisercoach.com. Just click on products and scroll down a little bit. By the way, we also have, not to diverge too much here, but we also have what's called the Rookie Training Camp, and it's basically an online mastermind for trainees. Yes, you must be a trainee in order to join this mastermind. And by the way, a prerequisite for joining that mastermind is, of course, this new workshop, How to Become a Real Estate Appraiser. Normal price, $395, folks. And by the way, this is jam-packed. This is 14 sessions, courses, almost an hour each of instruction on how to become a real estate appraiser. And by the way, if you go through this process, and you've heard me say it before, I'll say it again, I almost guarantee, I can't guarantee because I can't guarantee what you will do, but if you will do the steps in this process, you will find a mentor. I'm not kidding about that. If you're having a hard time finding a mentor, this is the workshop for you. $395 normally. I'm going to give you $100 off right now when you sign up. This is a limited offer. It is Trainee 100. That's TRAINEE 100. All caps, by the way, all one word, at checkout. Use the coupon code Trainee 100. We'll see you there.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.